Hey out there. Hope everyone is doing great and welcome to another Coach's Corner. We try to bring you quick hit videos that will help you be a more effective leader and a more effective business person. Wanted to share something with you that I noticed. I started with a client a few months ago, and there's a lot of rewarding things about the type of work that I do as a coach and a consultant. And there's a few frustrating things too, as there are with almost every position that I'm aware of. One of the things that really drives me crazy is when I get hired by a client and then they ask me to work on something, but then either one of two things happens. One could be that they kind of ignore my observations, and two could be that they explain my observations away. And this is not an ego trip. This is not you should listen to me because I'm a consultant, blah, blah, blah. This is why am I here if you're going to either ignore or explain the situation away? So when it comes to ignoring things, it's usually, it's not blatant, it's not in my face kind of thing, but hey, Bo, would you take a look at this situation? And when I take a look at the situation, I bring back something that says, okay, Mr. Client, Mrs. Client, here's what I noticed. I saw A, B, and C, and I do think there's an opportunity. Or, hey, I noticed it, and I'm not sure I understand what the problem is that you're talking about. In either case, what often comes back is, well, okay, we'll look at it again later. And so the client hires me, brings me in, and says, hey, we'll look at this again later. Okay, well, why am I here? The other one, which I think is probably worse, is when they say, hey, we've got a problem with X, and Bo, can you help us look at X? So I go look at X, and I talk to the people who are involved in that situation, dig into it, identify some things, and then bring them back, only to have the person who asked me to look at it explain all of the reasons that it has to be that way. So if the leader of the organization is convinced that it already has to be that way, that there's no way to solve this problem, it's the world's most unsolvable problem, I don't know why they asked me to look at it in the first place. Or I don't know how the organization is ever going to break through that if it's the world's most unsolvable problem. So from my perspective, as a consultant, I will continue to try to find a way to help them solve it, or a different way of approaching solving the problem. But, and here's the important part, if the behavior is that with me, an outsider, it's probably much worse with the employees who are there every day, the people who make the machine work, the company, the organization work. And so if the behavior is the same with the employees, they either get ignored or they get explained why we can't change it, fix it, make it better. Pretty soon they'll stop bringing you stuff, right? And so I believe it was a quote that said, if you're unable to listen to your people, pretty soon you'll be surrounded by people that have nothing to say. And just want you to think about that for a minute. So if somebody's bringing you something, it's a problem, it's a question, it's a challenge, maybe it's an opportunity in a project. If you put them off and say, we'll look at it later, or you tell them all of the reasons that it won't work, pretty soon they'll stop bringing you stuff. They'll stop bringing you ideas and opportunities and problems to work on. And that's not the culture that you want. That's not the culture that's going to take your organization to the next level, whatever your next level is. So spend a little time in the mirror. Think about what it is that you're hearing your teammates and your colleagues and your employees talk with you about, and reflect a little bit on how you're responding to them. Because if you're too busy, or you're convinced it has to be that way, or you're just ignoring them, you are building a horrible culture that is 100% destined for mediocrity. If mediocrity is what you want, I can't help that. Most people want something more, and certainly your employees want something more. So, hope it helps. Give it a little thought. Talk soon.